So good morning, Jean, and
Morning.
thank you for inviting me over. I've been chasing you for a while,
Yeah.
but we've been waiting really until you've got something to show us. But
Yeah.
really, before we get going on that, could you just tell us a bit about your background?
Yeah. I've always had animals, dogs, cats, rabbits, things when I was a kid. My parents were really good bird watchers, so I was always interested in wildlife. I'm chairman of Ryedale Badger Group, um, and I run Ryedale Rehab here, where I look after injured wildlife. I do a lot of work with badgers, do a lot of work with birds of prey. I'm an accredited raptor rescue rehabilitator, bit of a mouthful. So I do a lot of work with birds of prey. I do a lot of work with, sadly, wildlife persecution. So, things like badger digging and
Mm.
shooting of birds of prey and the awful bits as well. So, yeah, I have a go at most things.
But here we are in the middle of sort of suburban Malton. You know, you kind of expect you to be out in the
Yeah,
wilds and everything,
yeah,
but it's, as soon as I walked in, I kind of felt I'm in a wildlife-friendly environment
yeah.
here. What do you sort of aim for here?
Well, I can keep things temporarily. I mean, I haven't got a lot of space. I'm a backyard rehabilitator, really, more
Yeah,
than anything else.
yeah.
Bird's tweeting somewhere. Um, so I can keep things, for a short time and then get things out again. So if things need keeping for longer times, then I know other people that can do it. But it'd be wonderful to have a small holding. So if anybody rich wants to,
There we go.
give me a small holding, then yes, please.
That's the dream, is
I
it?
would like, yeah,
To
yeah. I'd
put
love to
this
win the
onto.
lottery, yeah, and just have more space. I mean, I just haven't got enough space here for what I want to do.
Yeah,
But it's amazing what you can do with what you've got. So if this is what you've got, then this is what you've got.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So before we look at a couple of examples of animals that you've been rescuing and helping to get back on the road, perhaps you could tell us if how people might want to get in contact with you should they come across
Yeah,
injured.
all of the local vets know me, so
Right.
if things need veterinary care, then vets don't charge you initially for wildlife.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's not an expensive thing for you to be able to take a wild animal or bird into the vet. And they all know me and refer things on to me. They know I'm here. And often vets will have a go with wildlife. If there's somebody they can give it to, they know they'll have a go with. Some to do the actual rehab. I don't do veterinary stuff. They
No.
do the veterinary stuff. I do the rehab. So all the vets know me. The police know me. I'm in the phone book.
Right. So in terms of the range of animals that you've rehabilitated, give us a
Well, I've
overview.
I've sort of reared everything, most common wildlife species. Everything from stoats to badgers to baby barn owls to blue tits. And so at this time of year, most of the baby things are out, just
Yeah.
about out. I'm still getting things like house martins in occasionally, things that nest a lot and have repeated nests. But most baby stuff's out now, so the baby things are really, I work practically around the clock sometimes if I'm hand rearing things. So those things aren't difficult. I get the more rare stuff, some of the bigger birds of prey like I've got today. You get them occasionally. But things like tawnies and barn owls, kestrels, sparrowhawks, all the birds of prey I do. Do a lot of work with hedgehogs at this time of year, the young hedgehogs. I've reared all sorts of stuff.
Great. Okay, well, thank you. Let's just have a look at a couple of examples.
Yeah,
What are you going to show us?
yeah. Well, I'll show you the star at the moment. She won't be here long, hopefully. But I've got an adult female breeding marsh harrier in. Came from the Wolds, came from Nigel Puckering, who was the red kite man. A farmer told him this bird was seen flip-flopping about in a game crop upon the Wolds. So he went to pick her up and brought her here. So we don't think there's a lot wrong with her. The vet's been had a look and she's on antibiotics and stuff. But she's very, very thin. And it looks like she's hit overhead power lines.
Okay.
Big birds of prey like the wolves. They like the big sky and the big space up
Yeah.
there. So we think that,
So you just basically been feeding her up,
yeah,
have
she
you?
just needs feeding up. Well, I've had her a couple of days. She'll be here a little bit longer yet, but fingers crossed she should go out perhaps by next week.
And is that left to you to judge
Yes,
yourself? Yeah.
yeah. I've got great experience
I'm
with birds of
sure.
prey.
Yeah. Let's have a look
Yeah.
at it then.
Okay then.
Thank you.
I'll just shut this while I get her out. Or do you want to come in?
I can come in if
Yeah.
that's okay.
I'll just shut this just to make sure. No, this is. Go out into the daylight if you like, if that's easier. Into the back garden even. I've got. She won't go anywhere. Yeah, we'll just have to be quick.
Yeah. Well, I feel incredibly honoured.
Yeah, yeah, they're quite a rare bird. She's full of dinner at the moment, so she's eating well of her own accord.
And what would you be feeding her at the moment?
She eats dead day old chicks, so she's on a lot of meat. So if we look at the wing, there's just hard to see, but there is a faint line goes across these flight feathers, so we think she's hit overhead power cables.
So she wasn't actually flying, just sort of...
Just lifting up off the ground, that was all.
Right.
So she's looking good. But there's just a line, you can just faintly see this line going across the flight feathers. We think she's flown into overhead power cables.
Yeah, here.
Here, yeah.
Yeah.
So she'll be feeling a bit bruised. That one's got a bit of a chip out of it. It shouldn't stop her from flying. But she's obviously knocked herself about and knocked herself enough not to be able to hunt. And then they're on the downward spiral then of not eating, not...
So where would you, I mean, it's probably maybe top secret, I don't know, where would you release her?
She'd probably be released in a marshy area, somewhere where there's water, somewhere where there's plenty of food, somewhere fairly close to where she was found. I mean, if I get marsh harriers, I get them now, end of August, beginning of September. And the young birds are then dispersing at that time of year, and the older birds are having a zip round now. They haven't got the responsibilities of rearing young anymore. So, you know, big birds of prey like the top of the walls, they like the top of the moors, they like the big sky, the big open places. So if I get a marsh harrier, I usually get it now, and I usually get it from the wolds.
And so how long I mean, obviously it's different with each bird, but on average with a case like this, what's the kind of
She shouldn't be too
period?
long, she needs to put weight on.
Yeah.
She's about 200 grams light of what she should be.
Right.
So we need to get some weight on her. She needs to start feeling better.
How do you weigh her?
Well, birds are pretty quite easy. You just put her upside down on the scales.
Oh really?
If you lay them flat,
oh,
they
look
start
at
to
that.
relax, yeah.
Okay.
So you can see they're fairly relaxed when they're upside down. And you've got to be quick and careful.
Yes.
Um,
And tell me, what is it like when you release them? You
oh,
know,
mega. It's
I
the best
mean,
bit.
It must be.
Oh, it's absolutely thrilling. Yeah, it's the best bit of being a rehabber,
Yeah.
is actually seeing the bird fly away and knowing full well that if you hadn't dealt with it, then it wouldn't have flown away.
Yeah.
But
I mean, obviously you form a bond with them as well.
Yeah,
Is
you
it
do.
A mixed feeling of
yeah, it is a little bit
sadness
sometimes
as
because you
well?
think, well, you know, it's up to that. But they are wild things,
course.
and the wild bird should be in the wild. It shouldn't be fiddling about around me, thank you. It should be out there doing its thing.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you very
Yes,
much.
I'll
We'll
carefully
put
put
her
her
back,
back
now, but great to see her. And now we're going to look at some hedgehogs.
Yes, one extreme to the other.
Great. Now, hedgehogs are having a really tough time, aren't
Yeah,
they?
they are. Yeah, they've had a better year this year, I think.
they?
Yes, they have. Yes, they have. So they haven't been done yet this morning. I thought, well, I won't interfere with them till they're dead.
Why were you saying it? Because of the wetness? Does that
Yeah.
help?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh,
These are all hand-reared.
This is the R factor.
Yeah.
Oh.
These are hand-reared hedgehogs.
Oh,
I think there's about 8 in here.
how old were they when you got them?
2 or 3 inches, maybe no more. I'm not going to be.
So what, the mother was killed on the road
Yeah,
or something?
yeah. 4 of them were sat with their mother. So I'm not going to be looked at, thank you. These are wiggling about a bit more.
So how intensive in those early days?
Oh, it's
was
every
it?
2 hours.
Oh
yeah,
my
it's every
goodness,
2 hours
Jean.
all day, yeah. Over the 24.
So this is your full-time job, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is just
There's
about,
nothing
yeah.
else you can do if you've got that kind of
When you're hand rearing
commitment.
things, no, there isn't, no. But they're away now. They've got the hang of it now, so I don't have to fiddle about anymore. They're eating well, but they need to gain weight. We're into September now, so they need to be at least 500 grams before they hibernate.
And will you keep them here for hibernation?
No, because if they've reached that weight, then they can go out and they'll be fine.
How do you, if you've reared them by hand, How do you? Sorry, you're in the sunlight here. How do you then sort of ensure that they can hunt for themselves?
Well, mostly hedgehogs, it's instinct. All these wild animals, they live on instinct, don't they? Most of them. Um, you've got to be very careful with some of the more intelligent species that you don't imprint them.
Yeah.
And imprinting is very, very important. If I imprint something, then I fail totally, because it can't go back to living as a wild animal again.
Yeah.
But hedgehogs usually are fairly easy. They live with us anyway. They go into people's gardens, and they tend to just get on with it anyway. So hedgehogs are not too much of a worry. Some of the more intelligent species, you've really got to be very, very careful how you rear them, so that they're not imprinted. Yeah.
So, how do you see the next few months ahead of you? What's
Yeah,
it
it
like
should
in the
settle down
autumn?
a bit. You know, the hedgehogs will start coming in once we get to the hibernation time, and you've got to be careful of their weights. That they've got to be at least 500 or 600 grams before they can hibernate successfully and stay alive for the next year.
Yeah.
Once the clocks go back, I tend to start to get birds of prey in again that get knocked on cars at the busy time of day when they first come out to hunt. So I tell people to be careful when they're driving, not to run into things like barn owls and torn owls. And I seem to get a rise in them. But you know, you never can know. I mean, somebody could walk through the door now with something.
Yeah.
So you have to sort of be able to deal with whatever comes in.
But a huge rewarding
Oh
job.
yeah, lovely. I love what I do. I'm very lucky to do what I do.
And what do all your neighbours think around
Oh,
here?
they're great. My neighbours are great.
They understand.
Wonderful. Yeah. I have good support from my neighbours. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much.
My
I feel
pleasure.
really honoured to come today.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Jean.
my pleasure.